I earned my degree online at Arizona State University. I chose to get my degree at ASU because I knew that I'd get a quality education, they were recognized for excellence, and that I would be prepared for the workforce upon graduating. To be associated with ASU, both as a student and alum, it makes me extremely proud, and having experienced the program, I know now that I'm set up for success. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
And welcome back to the Sword of Truth podcast, the chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sword of Truth series with the clandestine crap brew on the side. I'm Jade, and I'm here with Nate, and today we are lancing the boil of chapter 37 of Soul of Fire.
Okay, one, that's gross. Two, if it's clandestine, you're not supposed to be saying this shit out loud, Jade.
Yeah, I just learned that today, though, so I can't be held accountable for how I say it.
Damn it, we make the worst cult leaders.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
For today's moment of truth, I am just gonna say that it's been a week.
Kind of has been a week, hasn't it?
Our parental health is not super great.
Both of our dads were in the hospital at one point or another this week, and it's been a lot. So that's been kind of the focus on both of our brains. I will say, ironically, it was kind of welcome that this week the chapter was so short.
Yeah.
It's only like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So while we do have a lot on our plates this week, it was very welcome to have a short chapter that just kind of fit into the rest of our week.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about it for much more than 10 minutes, so it's going to be super great.
Well, that's the goal, yeah.
And that's today's moment of truth.
Maybe that needs to start being a thing.
I think so.
I will make sure that I am ready with the chime button next time.
So on the last episode, we got to attend a penance assembly with Fitch and watch his new outfit get shit on twice.
2 times.
He met Franca and learned that some Anders are shitty. And we got some deets on the Wizard's Keep.
That's right. And the Sword of Truth.
Yes, the sword. It's outdated information, but also I believe that it's described that she tells him what it looks like as well, which is helpful.
Okay, so I guess I should add this before we get into this week's chapter. That last week's chapter, I made reference that she might be able to tell Fitch where the Sword of Truth was. That's not actually true. She just described what it looked like. She said she was in the first Wizard's Enclave, but we know that it's been moved since then.
Yeah.
So Fitch doesn't actually have a through line to know where the sword is, even though technically right now it does happen to be at the Wizard's Keep.
Wouldn't it be wild if Richard just so happened to put it in the same spot that it was in when Franca saw it?
Well, I set it in the stand because we were leaving, so I figured the stand was the best place for it. In the glass case in the hallway labeled Sword of Truth hallway, I figured that was best.
A sword holder above the mantelpiece, and that's where it goes when it's in the Sword's Enclave or in the Wizard's Enclave.
It's like the stairway to heaven at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know where those guitars are. Yeah, they're right there.
That's right where they are. This chapter opens up with Dalton Campbell dipping his pen in some ink as Hildemara Chanboor enters his office. He knows it's her, not by her face, but by her fat fucking ankles and the most unappealing legs that you've ever seen.
Okay, so I just want to throw out, before we get too far into the chapter, that this is clearly Horny Terry just poking his little head out and making a little joke, because the second I was like, he was about to dip his pen in some ink, but you don't dip your pen in company ink? And then technically, Company Ink walks in through the door, and he recognizes her by her fat fucking ankles.
Yeah, and she's definitely Company Inc. That's like all over all the documents because we know this. Like she has
yes,
a whole bunch of
that's
secret
true.
things, and so does her husband.
Also kind of good kinds bent to where if you're not a physically attractive person, you're shitty.
Yeah, except the people he really likes. Except the bad guys he really likes. Then they're really fucking hot.
Yeah, then they're super hot because that's worse.
Yeah, that's real life.
Is that all I gotta do to be hot is just be bad?
I don't know if it works that way, but I think it works the other way. Like if you,
Oh, if you're hot, then you are bad.
yeah,
I see.
inherently.
Trust no one.
Yeah. That's not. I think we just talked in the last chapter about how you should paint a broad brush over people, but you know what? That's what we're doing right now.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're actually right about that.
Yeah, whatever. Anyways,
You know what we mean.
Dalt greets her warmly, but formally, noting that because she's here, he'll probably have to send the messengers out for something, so he's going to keep them out in the outer room. He pulls up a comfy-looking chair for her, notes the straw color of her wool dress and how it makes her look just terrible.
2 for 2 on just judging her by her looks.
Yeah.
She hasn't said a word other than, hello, how are you?
Now, I'm going to say, straw color of a wool dress does not sound like a good-looking dress anyways.
I think it's confusing because this is supposed to be the big man's wife. You know what I mean?
That's what I was like,
she
why
should
does
have the
she
finest
have a bad
things.
dress?
But this sounds like it's just a raw wool dress to me.
Like a fucking potato
Undyed.
sack.
Yeah,
that's
just
what it
like
sounds like.
shitty thing. Yeah, why would she be wearing that? I'm sure it's not. You can have very fine, very expensive wool sweaters.
The color of straw could
Irish
be-
wool sweaters are the best in the fucking world,
Right.
as I've been told.
Right, and the color of straw can be described as like golden sometimes,
Yeah.
right? So
It's a very pleasant color. Can be.
Can be.
But against like mottled skin or whatever, it's not going to look great.
Apparently not.
Draws a contrast here.
Apparently not. In a power move, she glances at the chair, then continues to stand, reminding him that they've known each other long enough to call each other by their first name, only when they're alone.
Yeah, there's a little extra detail there. Like, hey, we're old friends, but honestly, actually not when anybody else is around. When anybody else is around, you will defer to me by my official title.
Also interesting that she says we've known each other long enough, and I'm pretty sure he's only been there for like 2 months.
Yeah, she
2
does.
months.
She does remark later in the chapter that he's not been there for that long, actually.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a weird thing that she's saying.
It's maybe a manipulative thing she's saying, but whatever.
This does kind of give me like Game of Thrones vibes. Like, yeah, you're accepted here in the capital, but you're still new and everybody knows that. But you got to play the politics game that we're playing, even if you don't know what that is. What this tells me is she recognizes that Dalt is adept at playing that game.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was noted before everybody can see each other's game for what it is, pretty much at this point. And to Dalt, Hildy was a shitbird who only came around before shitstorms, so he decided to let the shit winds gather instead of stirring the shit up himself. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Rip John Dunsworth.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, JD. Thank you.
Yeah.
The shitbirds are coming, JD.
Yeah, they are. They always come when she comes.
They always fly through before the shitstorm.
Which definitely does not make you feel like you're giving Kelton vibes.
Yeah, very Kelton vibes. What is that? The undesirable kind of character traits. But also like in the way that a police officer sees some bullshit goes on the road or out on the streets and then says, I don't want to do the paperwork for that. They can see it coming a mile away. It's like, oh God, this is going to be so much paperwork. The second this woman comes into your office, you're going to have some shit to do. Years ago, when I was in the fast food game, there was a specific woman who would come through the drive-thru, and she had a very specific order. And her name was on the back of her license plate. I'm not going to say who it is. I doubt anybody would fucking know, but just in case, I don't want to hurt any feelings. It is a very ironic name. She would cause more problems for me and all of my coworkers because she had to have things the super specific way that we couldn't actually charge for. It was dumb. But Every time you saw this woman pull through the drive-thru and you saw that name on the license plate, you knew you were in for some shit, and the only way to get through is to just kind of grin and bear it, because she was a customer and the customer's always right. So you just fucking deal with it. But you were pissed the whole time. That's where Dalt is right now. He's not happy about seeing her.
13 years later, I met her at my other job, at my job.
Oh
and
my
she's
God,
the
that's
same
right.
lady.
Oh,
She's still the same.
I am so glad that you actually did get to meet her in a different setting and see how she operates, because I felt like anybody that heard my stories from BK would think, no, nobody could be that bad. Yes, I assure you they can be.
Yeah, and it's super fun when people treat pharmacy just like fast food. Just saying that.
Hey, I agree. As fast food, I expected to be shit on just a little bit by society. Not that I deserved it, but as a pharmacist, yeah, people should have a little bit more respect.
Dalt doesn't want to fuck with her though, and like ask her what the deal is before she comes out with it, because in the same way that if you can see a storm brewing, you have time to prepare for it and kind of decide how you want to play how the storm goes, as opposed to like if you run towards the storm and
holding a lightning rod,
yeah, then
and poking at it,
right? Then all of a sudden you're in the shit.
You're
right?
in the shit storm
and
with the shit birds.
Yeah, and you can't really react quite so deftly. So I think that's why he's like, all right, I'm just gonna let this brew and see where she's fucking coming.
Yeah,
and then I can see which way I need to pivot. And yet another power move. She fusses with a loose thread on Dalton's shoulder, one that may not have been there, and then comments how well endowed he is. And then her hand moves to his cheek, and she remarks on how lucky Tess is to be his wife.
Warning, warning, get the fuck away, get the fuck away. That's a red flag.
Doing his best to shut her down, he says her husband's lucky too.
Ha ha!
And she takes the hand away. Hildy says that her husband's often lucky, but what is commonly thought of as luck is often the result of incessant practice.
Now, I know that she's probably talking about what we know about this man, that he's not faithful to her. But I also kind of took this as a joke that maybe the dude just jerks off a lot. And I found that hilarious.
That is funny. I think that her point is that he isn't lucky. It's something that's been planned and tried over and over and over. So whether it's being married to her or fucking random girls or whatever it is.
Tying a deer to a tree.
Yeah. He hasn't done it one time. He doesn't just strike lucky. He's just had to try really hard.
It's a thought out thing and grosser and not like the thing that it's supposed to be and beautiful.
And also maybe not even practice on his part, because like Hildy, we know, is a strategery person. So she
fucking love that word.
So she may have even been the one doing the practice in order to get him where he is. So the hand is back. It's licking his ear now. Fuck. She comments about how she's heard Dalt and his wife are faithful to each other, and when he confirms this, she lets her hand move down to his cheek and pinches it super fucking hard. She tells him, eventually, she hopes to convince him to be less stuffy.
Oh, that's why you're here.
It is interesting because he doesn't exactly make her know how little he is enjoying what's going on.
No, because
he's feeding it.
Well, he is, because he wants information.
Yeah.
When actually he's throwing up in his mouth just a little bit.
That's what we know from his internal monologue that's happening this whole time.
He's not actually enjoying this, but he's letting it go on longer than he's comfortable with because of the prospect of information.
Yeah, I mean, he literally is like, if anybody could convince me, it would be you, Hildy.
It would be you, Hildy.
Oh my God. They compliment each other, painfully polite, while Dalt does his little best dance to get out of this conversation. Hildy then takes a breath. She changes the vibes in the room and turns the conversation over to Claudine and Linscott.
Okay, I am done hitting on you now.
I've softened you a little bit. We'll get back to that later. She's super pleased with how he lanced two boils at once with the whole situation there with Claudine and Scott.
With the whole situation.
Yeah. She was super fucking embarrassed about the loose lips on that bitch and wants her killed.
Whoa.
Yeah. She will not have women humiliating her in front of the entire house and making her look like a fool. Discreet indulgences with her husband are one thing. Publicly talking shit and telling tales is quite another.
I know I'm making the reference again, but it does really remind me of the Game of Thrones aspect of this, where where's the show that we watched, The Great? How, yeah, there's the royalty, there's the king, and then the king's wife, not actually the queen, but then like there's a whole social cast of people there who are just one-upping themselves in order to get favor with the royals. And there's a whole fake facade that's happening where you could be talking to your very most bitter enemy and smiling and having the best time and trading barbs secretly between each other in the most polite speech. This is the game that she's playing right now. But then she lets slip that, yeah, we're not happy about it. We would like it if you made her disappear.
Yeah.
And that's a very direct ask.
Well, and it's also Game of Thronesy, maybe, or the Great Tea, in the way that everybody knows about the indulgences, right? It's a public secret.
Exactly.
But
right.
if you make it a public non-secret,
if you make it public,
then we have a fucking problem.
big problem.
And you know what I do? Not all the time, not most of the time, but sometimes when I'm having a problem, I grab a beer. So I think that's what we should do now.
Hey, that sounds good to me.
All right, we'll be right back.
Whoa, what just happened?
We're drinking.
Okay, for a second I thought you were miniaturized again. I don't know if I could handle that. Today we are drinking another New Belgium Brewery beer.
Ooh,
This one is called Hoptober IPA. And the description on the can says exactly that. Nothing at all. It's Hoptober IPA. It's kind of one of those beers that speak for themselves. And I gotta say, after having a few sips of it, it's very smooth and quite enjoyable. I am very interested to hear what you have to say about this one because it's going to get a favorable rating for me, unlike the last one.
Well, I think that it's also pretty smooth. It's not the most IPAs.
It is not the most hippos, no.
You can taste it a little bit in there. I think that it's a drinkable IPA. I could drink this probably quite a lot. Aaron would probably rate it pretty low because it's not like, you don't do that when you stop drinking it, so he would probably hate it. I think it's pretty solid, so I would probably give it 7 corn mazes.
Ooh, I was also going to say a 7. And it's kind of coincidental that we did because it's also clocking in at 7.0 ABV.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And it's got hops and malt too. I just found a little bit of readout. That's why it's a little smoother. But man, that shit is good for an IPA. So we can't discount that.
Malt is so good in all different places. Nate has a podcast that he's kind of working on with his dad where they kind of do some milkshake stuff and they like malt over there. So maybe keep an eye out for that in the future.
Hell yeah.
But for now, we're going to get back into the chapter. And we're back! So Dalton believes that Claudine did not mean anything towards Hildy. Rather, he meant to denounce Bertrand for his conduct.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, it does kind of reflect on you as his wife, but we're not talking about that. It wasn't meant to do that, okay?
She views it as reflecting back on her as his wife. And maybe socially it does, but also that's not her fucking fault.
No, but I think that if you stand by your husband after he's been accused of rape, it can look bad on you. So I think that's where she's coming from.
Oh,
with
yeah.
that.
No, I fully understand that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. So, doesn't matter. She's been silenced. Claudine's not going to say a fucking word anymore. She lost her position with the people of authority, so it doesn't even matter, okay? Yeah, maybe you were embarrassed, but it doesn't even matter. She's not going to talk anymore. It's done. Hildy, at this point, takes hold of his collar more forcefully than she did before.
Ooh.
And said, well, she's been revered by people who believe the shit about the starving children that you were fucking spewing. And that's fucking dangerous, okay? Worse, she was basically shouting about the rape.
Yeah.
Basically.
The narrative, the one narrative that we don't want to get out is the one thing she's hollering about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the problem has been taken care of or whatever, but if she starts a fucking grassroots movement and gets people fired up about this, there could be nothing we can do about it in the long run. And that's a problem for her or them, but her specifically.
It's a twofold problem. One thing is you can't put toothpaste back in the tube, right? It's already out there. And the second part is that if people...
if you had a pump.
The second part is that if people start to revere her and trust her as a person, and then somebody else comes back and says, yeah, but do you remember that rumor that she said this? People will start to believe whatever that was that she said. So it's a problem. Dalt wants Hildy to go in a little more detail about why killing Claudine is necessary, though, because he doesn't fully believe what she's given him at this point. The more details she gives him now, the more information he's going to possibly have to blackmail her with down the road. So he wants her to spell it out loudly, clearly for him so that later he can be like, remember when you said that shit?
He wants all the information so he knows what cards everybody else is holding.
All part of the web. You got to have a sturdy web or you're going to fall right through it, right? Nobody cares about the rape, is what he tells her. He can easily spin a story about the stresses of the job that's going to elicit sympathy from the people rather than rage. Because who would be upset about such a victimless crime as somebody being like, I'm so stressed from working so hard that I just had to fuck the first thing that came around or whatever.
Yeah, you just had to do that, and it's totally fine if you just grab him by, whatever.
Her fist tightens on his collar. She's afraid Claudine might be called to the Office of Cultural Amity and called to testify.
I don't know that I think this is the same word, but I'm just reminded of the Amityville Horror. Isn't that to where like all the houses look real nice and everybody's all cut and cute the same? And
is there an N in that word?
No, but that's what I'm saying. But then actually it was like all the housewives were taking pills and being...
I didn't watch that movie.
I didn't either, but that's just kind of what I remember people saying. I might be wrong, but every time I'm like, the Office of Cultural Amity, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the office that makes everything look real nice, but actually it's a fucking horror show underneath. But, pastel colors, so it's whatever.
It's whatever. The directors fear Bert's power and skill, and they're obviously jealous of her, so if they wanted, they could champion Claudine's cause as being against the creator.
Obviously, they're jealous of her.
Yeah, because who wouldn't be jealous of Hildy?
But yeah, that's the thing. You can make a legal swoop, right? You can say, well, technically, this guy doesn't have the same laws because he's about to become the sovereign. But then if you piss off the religious folks who are just like, well, that just goes against God, well, there's nothing you can do about that shit. There's no legal loophole to get you out of that. So you have to do what's agreeable to the religious folks.
You know the way the church whispers.
That's right.
You don't want to be the subject of the church's whispers, do you?
There are gossipers, and then there are fucking gossipers. And you know what clan that is. So just bear that in mind.
Such a crime against the creator might disqualify him from running to be the sovereign, leaving them suddenly helpless at the director's mercy. Not good. They could all be looking for new living quarters before they even knew what happened.
That's right. The problem isn't that it's the problem. The problem isn't even that her husband's going to get possibly put away for rape. The problem is that she will no longer have a fancy place to live.
Or any place to live.
I just mean the fact that everybody is trying to cover their own ass. That's the whole thing. CYA.
No, yes.
So at the end of the day, whether or not her husband gets put away and she's got more work on her plate and she don't want that to happen.
Hildy isn't a good person.
No, shocker.
Her husband is not a good person. So on one hand, yeah, it's fucked up that she's like, whatever, he's going to get in trouble for rape. I need somewhere to go. But also, he's raping and fucking other people. So, like, you can't really fault her for that.
So what you're saying is Hildy is a bad person. Her husband is also a bad person. But just because Hildy is a bad person doesn't necessarily negate the feelings that she would get as a woman whose husband is actively fucking cheating on her, like, a lot.
And raping people. Like, yeah.
And being bad. Like, the feelings as your husband's doing those things still has to weigh on you.
Yeah.
And I even posit might contribute to some of the bad decisions she's making.
Well, also keep in mind
I'm not trying to defend her, though. That's also the thing.
No, but also keep in mind, as a woman, you can't really hold those seats of power. Like, she's been pulling strings, right? She's been doing all of the work to get him there. So the person who actually should be in the seat of power is her, but she can't have it without him because he has a dick and she doesn't.
Right.
And he does terrible things with that dick, and she has to, control the narrative and hide and cover that all up because otherwise she's going to lose what should rightfully be hers. Is a whole thing. Whole fucked up thing. Misogyny sucks.
You gotta defend the bad guy. I mean, yeah, misogyny, but just corruption in general.
That too.
You're doing a bad thing for the bad guys so you can keep the good things you have.
Yeah.
And people will kill, maim, and murder. Like, two of those things were the same thing. But you understand what I mean.
I do.
They'll do horrible things to make sure that their lot in life is held safe.
Yes, for power and all of that shit. And I just mean that she probably still would do a lot of really bad things. But if women were allowed to hold the seat of power, she would probably not do quite as many bad things.
It'd be a different situation.
Situation.
She could potentially get it for herself.
Yeah.
And wouldn't have to do bad, nasty cover-up things.
Right. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, done with being polite about it, she pulls his face in close to hers and says, plain, I want her killed. Kill her ass. Toast her. Do whatever you gotta do.
Look, that's fucking risky. You don't just say that to somebody, even again in the Game of Thrones speak. You don't just out and out and say, I want them gotten rid of. There's usually like a very elaborate linguistic dance that you do with the other person. So you don't have to say those words out loud. So it was interesting to me that this lady broke that and went, listen, all bullshit aside, I want her fucking dead.
Especially because we know that there's messengers right outside the door.
Yeah. Thank you, Jade. I was just like, I don't think anybody's going to remember that there's another dude standing right outside the door and she just plainly says, kill that motherfucker. And that's why you do the secretive language. And that's why you don't say the shit out loud, because there's always ears around. Who knows that? Fucking Dalton knows that. And she is naive as fuck for saying her plan out loud. I would have written it on a paper and been like, everything leading up to saying those words. And then you show them the words, and then you burn it right there so that nobody ever gets their hands on those words.
Either that, or you go out to a very secluded piece of a garden that has a waterfall at it, and you know that there's nobody around, and you say that shit. You
Pay
go for
a
a walk.
dude to play the electric guitar for you in the park at 13 so you could just speak freely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the move. If you want to pay me to do that for you in your daily life, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. Especially because we know that we know that Dalton has a friend who can listen to whispers. Maybe not all the time right now, but I would assume that other people in the village should know that this bitch can do stuff like that, right? Anyways,
Yeah, maybe
Don't.
if she gets it to work.
yeah, but nobody knows it doesn't work. Anyways, Dalt always thought that a plain woman's kind and generous nature could make her tremendously alluring. But the other side of that coin is Hildy. Her selfish despotism and boundless hatred of anyone who stood in the way of her ambition corrupted any appealing aspect she had into irredeemable ugliness. Basically, you can be plain and not super fucking hot, but as long long as you aren't a shitbox, you can be pretty hot. But not Hildy. That's not Hildy's bet. So unable to say no, Dalt asks her how she wants the killing done. Removing her hand from his collar. She doesn't want... Stop touching me.
You can keep that. Thank you.
She tells him she wants it to be messy. To look like a killing. Not an accident. It has to be like obvious murder. It'll do them no good if the other bedmates of her husband don't understand what it means that this lady was fucking killed.
100% she's sending a message with this murder.
Yes.
The thing is like, well, who has a reason for this poor woman to be killed? Obviously, the person that's just been accused with her rape. That's where people are going to look.
That's why their hands have to stay clean on this.
I mean, I know, but also, if it plainly looks like a fucking murder, they're plainly going to come ask you first.
Right, but that's why she wants Dalt to figure that out. Figure it out, because we have to be not implicated. Can't come back to us at all. Can't come back to bite us. Dalt already knows exactly how he's going to figure that part out and who's going to take the blame for it if blame needs taking.
Yeah, unfortunately, we probably have a good idea as to who that will be.
Oh, you think so?
Fitch,
Weird.
quite obviously.
Yeah, probably.
Damn it.
He also admits to himself that Hildy had some legit arguments for having her killed. Everybody here is looking to cover their own ass. The directors probably wouldn't think twice about throwing them under the bus if they thought it would help their station.
Everybody here is out for themselves. Like the same way as Dalt, the same way as Hildy, the same way as the directors, and Claudine herself. Like, not in a selfish way, but she's trying to advocate for herself and what happened to her right now. Everybody has their own interests at heart. All the time, everywhere, always.
Forever.
That's true for everybody you have ever talked to. That's true for me. That's true for you. And that's just kind of part of life. But then when you get into this aspect of life where that is kind of the only thing that matters to any of this group of people, it makes for a very troubling dynamic that ultimately ends up in anybody will fuck over anybody just to get a little bit ahead.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And Claudine is a risk. So, it's unwise to leave such a risk unhandled. As much as he regrets what needs to be done, he agrees it does, and he's like, as you wish, Hildy. Making it super plain, he's not making this choice.
Yeah, and I mean, we kind of know that this isn't really an ask of hers. Like, he doesn't really have a choice because she, again, is married to the big man. And she may not have the power, but he certainly fucking does to have anything done that he needs done. So you don't fuck with a woman like that.
Yeah.
You say yes, ma'am. Or if she tells you to call her by her first name, you call her by her first name.
In private.
In private, because you could get deaded otherwise. And you don't fucking want that.
Right. Or fired, and you like your job. Just like that, she's smiling again. She's come to greatly respect his ability, and if she trusts anything about Bert, it's his ability to find other people to do the work for him.
I fucking love that line. She's like, if I know one thing about my husband, he's a lazy piece of shit, but he finds the right people because he wants to be a lazy piece of shit.
Yeah, he's not going to fuck up in hiring the people to do the thing. He can't do it himself. He's going to have to stop fucking randos to do that. So he's got to get it done by other people.
Fucking gross.
Hildy knows that Dalt is not a squeamish man. She never would have come here if she didn't expect him to fully get this fucking done. There were other people she could have gone to, but she chose him on purpose.
Yeah, I kind of view this as her breaking in the new guy. Like, she's obviously heard of his reputation from everywhere. He's climbed up the ladder quite fast, and he's a very capable guy. And again, her husband doesn't hire just fucking anybody. Her husband only hires the guy who is going to get it the fuck done. It would be a huge risk for her to come here and have Dalt say, no, are you fucking crazy? I wouldn't do murder for you. That's illegal. She's fucked then. So by her coming here, she already knows that this dude will do what she says. And she doesn't truly have to worry about it.
Well, and I also think that there's something about, like, she knows that he just did this for Bert. She knows he just did this beating for him. At this point, now she wants to prove that he'll do it for her and tighten that relationship between the two of them, because now we're both involved in this thing together and you can't, like, we both have shit on each other after this.
So he grows his web and she has power over him.
Yeah.
And they're locked in for the long haul.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting.
And I might be able to convince you to do some other shit I want you to do later because
Yeah.
of this.
Because you did a murder, motherfucker.
Yeah. And as far as Dalt goes, the spider carefully adds a strand to his web, like you were saying. He tells her that this favor is well within his capability, making, like, note to call it a favor. I noted that. You noted that. We know it's not a favor. They both know it's not a favor, but someday he might need to check that in.
Yeah, if your boss tells you, hey, I need jobs 1 and 2 done by Friday, and you say, will do, and then you come back to him on Friday afternoon and say, hey, actually, could you do job 3 for me? He's going to tell you, that's fucking ridiculous. Why would I do that? I'm your boss. You're the worker. Do the fucking thing.
Do your job.
But if your boss says, hey, can you do this 1 and 2 by Friday? And you go, hey, I'm going to bust ass and try my best.
For you.
For you. Because, yeah, the work needs to be done either way. We both agree to that. But I'm going to give it extra this week. But then, hey, I want fucking Friday off next week, dude.
Just because you asked, but remember that.
But exactly. I am willing to do the work for you, but not for those fuckers. But if I do work for you, then you throw a little something my way and we can both be happy. But as long as that's put
Understood.
to this situation, yeah, as long as it's understood as a favor and not a command, then a favor can go back the other way. If it's a command, you've got no favor to ask. That's just your boss telling you what.
Right.
But the little loophole here is that it's not actually his boss. It's his boss's wife.
Right.
And so that's where the favor word got thrown in. And I was like, that was extremely smart of him to try and put it that way.
Also, this is not an above board thing.
Oh, no. One could say this is a very clandestine meeting.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, as far as you're not ordering me to do this on paper because you can't. So it's a favor. Even if it's an order, it's a favor because you can't say this out loud.
Overtime for this?
You can't tell somebody that you fired me because of this.
Then it's a favor.
Yeah. So her hand comes back, cupping his cheek. She tells him, I know you're the man for the job.
Oh, God. That's worse than I had pictured.
But the shit storm clouds settle again, and she puts one finger under his chin, reminding him that I don't have the power to castrate my husband.
Oh, God.
But I can have it done to you anytime I want.
Understood.
Yeah.
That voice was horrifying. I'm sorry. You did the effect for damn sure. Yeah. I hated that.
Dalt gives her, no reason to do it. He says, I'll give you no reason to fucking do that. And that's the end of the chapter.
No. I promise you, there's one thing I want to keep above all other things, and those are both of my balls. Please.
All the balls.
Please do not remove them.
Not into being a eunuch today.
I wouldn't be good as a eunuch.
I've thought about it. No, thank you.
Pass.
I don't know about you, but I think that's our truth. And I
would love... that I don't want my balls cut off?
I don't want your balls cut up either.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Well, I would love to hear everybody else's truth, and if that's their truth as well. Write to us in your journey books to podcastatt@junibail.com or find us on any of our social meets.
Glug, glug, glug.
If you would like to support this very podcast and hear some more exclusive content. Find us over on patreon.com/podcast
ATT. Angry Tea? What was that?
On patreon.com/podcast ATT, where every tier is a happy tier. That's all for us, friends. Thank you all for listening.
We'll see you real soon.
Bye-bye.